aha, we've got a new wrinkle in the Troy Aikman as general manager story. Mike Fisher reporting from Frisco. If you follow what I've done in my coverage of Aikman over the years, you're aware of this. He has more than just once in a while kind of dreamed, what would it be like if I was an NFL general manager? Could I do it? Would I be good at it? What would be the challenges? What would be the learning curve? What would be the biggest obstacle as it involves your Dallas Cowboys? So I'll tell you first what Aikman told me. This is a year ago on the record for a story we did. And we had him on the radio. We wrote the story. And it was a very understanding Aikman in regard to the Cowboys and how he wasn't going to be the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, as much as many of us think that's a brilliant idea. But also, what Troy told me a year ago is, he's 54 now, or 53. He said, this is more of a younger man's game. You got to get into it at a younger age and then build yourself up. His point to me was, I don't know that anybody wants to hire a 53-year-old general manager who's never done it before. And over the course of most of this time, he's, of course, raised two daughters, sometimes largely by himself. He did not win Texas Father of the Year, however. He finished second to me. 31 straight years I've won that award. Sorry, Troy. And so now along comes an interview with our mutual friend, Colin Coward, friend of the program. And Aikman offers up a new angle. First of all, he says, well, I think I'd be really good at it. And as soon as he realizes that he was kind of bragging, then he put an amendment on it by saying, but of course, I don't go into anything, with the idea of failing. But down deep, Aikman thinks he'd be good at it. He has certainly got so much of what it takes to be a successful CEO, and that's kind of what you are. A CEO with a scouting eye, or with a salary cap expertise. Now, I can tell you, Aikman does not have salary cap expertise. He would have to figure that out. The trade value chart. I don't know that Aikman's mastered the trade value chart. His job has been about football games, not how to run a draft. But here's the new wrinkle. In addition to Aikman saying, I think I'd be good at it, he tells Coward that he's willing to learn, to grow into the job. So understand how the Aikman Cowboy conversations before have gone. Aikman's been critical. And by the way, I think a year ago we had Aikman on Monday, and I hosted on 105.3 The Fan in the morning, and then I hosted with Sean Sharif, and we had Jerry on Tuesday. So we were able to kind of play them both against each other in a good way. And Aikman obviously highly critical of the way that the Cowboys have not succeeded, and his belief is that the organizational structure is a big reason why they haven't succeeded. And who can argue? We talk about it here all the time. Just Jerry, or more than that, as our video from earlier this week discusses. So Aikman pinpoints the Jones family and the organizational structure as an issue in why the Cowboys aren't as successful as he privately wants them to be. And as he, now it's clear, thinks maybe he could help make them be. Jerry fired back the next day. Fired back in a very respectful. Listen, him and Aikman are not lunch buddies right now, but they wouldn't be. Troy wouldn't be Troy without Jerry, and Jerry wouldn't be Jerry without Troy. They certainly both know that. And down deep, there is an affection and there is a bond. I know there is, even though we're not all going out for beers anytime soon. I wish they would. And each of them with a yellow legal pad and listen and write. If they really want to help the situation, Jerry should listen to Aikman. And not just say, well, I hear him every Sunday. I already know what he's going to say. Listen to him and write it down. And then maybe Aikman could learn something from Jerry's perspective. In fact, obviously he could. There's a lot, when somebody's, I don't know about you, but when you hang around with somebody who's 78, there's usually a lot to be learned if we shut up and listen. So Jerry's fire back the next day was, if Aikman owned a team, because Aikman thinks he can be a general manager, and good for him, if Aikman owned a team, would he hire somebody else to be the general manager? And obviously the answer is no, because if Aikman wants to be a general manager and he also happened to be an owner, well, then he would serve as his own general manager. And Jerry very cleverly is clearly making the point. In other words, Troy would do it just like I'm doing it. He would own and general manage. He would surround himself with help, surround himself with Jimmys or Garretts or Parcells or McClays or Stevens, Tom Siskowski, on and on and on, Larry Lacewell. But if he was the owner who aspires to be a general manager, he'd be the owner, general manager, just like I am. It really was a clever point by Jerry, and it kind of wins the argument. Until now. Aikman tells Coward, I think I could be successful. I think I'd be really good. I've never gotten into anything not expecting to be successful. That's an innocuous enough quote. Then he says to Colin, I'm confident that if I decided I wanted to pursue that, be a general manager. Now, check this out. This is different. I could contact half a dozen people at different teams that I know and say, let me interrupt. Not a half a dozen, Troy. 32 of them would take you up on this offer. Listen to this offer. Hey, I'd like to come work for your organization. If there's a spot for me, not be the general manager, work for your organization. You don't have to pay me. What? I just want to come in and work and learn the craft and put myself in a position to where if I decide that I want to be a GM and run a team all by myself, then I eventually can do that. And I feel that within a couple years, I'd be fully prepared and ready to do that. Whoa. This is completely different than Aikman's presentation about the idea over the years to me, and as part of I know anybody else that he's spoken to. That's completely different. You don't want to be a GM for the Dallas Cowboys. You don't need to be the GM for the Dallas Cowboys. You want a job as an intern? For lack of a better word. You want to be, by the way, obviously Troy will pay you. Because not that you need the dough, but you'd have to leave Fox, which is very lucrative. We'd be embarrassed to not pay you. This is any organization. Of course we're going to pay you. Pay you the going rate to be assistant to the general manager, not or assistant general manager, or assistant personnel director, or special assistant, anything, whatever, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the title is. The point is, you get an office, you get a phone, you get a computer, let's get to work. You want to learn the salary cap? Right, we got a cap guy. And I'm not just talking about the Cowboys, I'm talking about any team. Learn the salary cap, go spend time with him. Learn how to build a draft board, go spend time with him all day. Learn how coaching meshes with personnel, plenty of time for that. Go to owners' meetings, absolutely go to owners' meetings. Sit right next to the GM, right next to the owner. Every team would do that. Every team would take Troy Aikman, I think. Who wouldn't take Troy Aikman to come basically be a volunteer front office worker bee? Aikman wasn't offering that before. And again, he's brainstorming here. He likes his Fox job. It's a sweet gig. And he gets to spend an enormous amount of time with his daughters. As he has told me, well, here's his quote from a year ago. I don't know that I want to spend 365 days scouting. Now, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be that kind of general manager. He can be a different kind of general manager. But Aikman's emphasis would be football right now. Football players, football, not salary cap. It'd be about player evaluation for a trade, but Aikman doesn't know yet what matches in a trade, especially as it relates to draft picks. The Jimmy Johnson trade value chart that Jimmy Johnson deserves no credit for, by the way, a story for another day. You don't have to pay me. I just want to come in and work and learn the craft. Not half a dozen teams. I mean, I'm telling you, first of all, every team in the NFC, every organization in the NFC is an admirer of Troy Aikman because they spend time with him and they know. The teams in Los Angeles would die to have him involved. There'd be a charisma factor to it, and he could say, I don't want any part of that, but that is going to be a part of it. We're going to hold a damn press conference. We're the Rams, we're the Chargers, we're whoever. We're going to hold a press conference announcing this incredible thing we just did. We just hired Troy Aikman as an intern. That's incredible. Would there be backlash over, once again, why are people of color being overlooked for these jobs? Well, it's an excellent point, but I'm not asking you to pay me. I'm not taking anybody's job. I'm grabbing a broom. Nobody should be asked to do that. I'm offering to do that. So you avoid that conflict, I would think. Troy Aikman working for Washington as an intern, working under Ron Rivera, who happens to be a person of color, of course, working under Martin Mayhew, the new general manager, happens to be a person of color. So there's ways to do this where it's just all about a free education for Troy Aikman while he contributes what you know he would, which is about 70 hours work weeks for you, pushing a broom. This is an incredible story that's getting buried. I'm glad to bring it to you here. Dear Jerry Jones, how do you say no to that? Why aren't you on the phone now? Troy, Mr. Troy, I always thought you wanted to be a general manager. That's what we were talking about a year ago when I was playing chess with the subject. But now you're saying you want to learn to be a general manager? Let's go. And then in 3 years or 2 years or 1 year, after you've interned here with the Dallas Cowboys, first of all, we're probably going to realize you're so good, we will not let you go. We will give you something. We will, again, you're never going to be above Jerry and Steven in the organization. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. And everybody should accept that. But Will McClay has enormous power at the Star. Troy, you can have enormous power at the Star. Or intern with us for a couple years, and then you've built your resume, and now 31 other teams are clamoring for your services, offering you a real general manager job. This is easy peasy, Cowboys. This is so easy, Troy. Somebody call somebody. And hurry, Cowboys, before some other team gets wind of what we're talking about. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hanging out with us. Much more to come today and in the coming days as we take you to the Super Bowl. Fish out.